Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So this is the Vivo X200 Ultra, one of the most anticipated phones of the year because at least among us niche mobile camera enthusiasts, Vivo's X series have offered the best camera system for the past, in my opinion, like 3 or 4 years now. And it lives up to the hype because Vivo has not gone on cruise control. It has not put out something just very conventional with minimal spec bump, because this phone does at least four things that most other phones or no other phones are doing right now. So there are 4 things that makes this guy very unique. So unfortunately, the Vivo X200 Ultra is only sold in China right now. But if you do want to buy one, my friend Trinity Electronics in Hong Kong, they have the phone in stock already and they ship worldwide. I have a link to their Instagram account and the website below. Okay, so the 4 things that make the Vivo X200 Ultra unique. Number 1 is that Vivo has given this phone's main and ultra-wide camera almost parity. By almost parity, I'm saying that both the ultra-wide camera and the main camera are very close in quality. In fact, they use the exact same sensor, Sony LYT818. This is a relatively new sensor, just like barely 6 months old, and it was used in the Vivo X200 Pro's main camera. And I've tested that phone long enough to know that is a flagship caliber sensor that can go toe-to-toe with any of the 1-inch sensor, even if its sensor size it's a little bit smaller. The fact that Vivo is using that sensor now for the ultra-wide means that this is easily by far the new best ultra-wide camera on the market. Now, if you take ultra-wide photos during the day between this phone and the Xiaomi 15 Ultra or the Oppo Find X8 Ultra or the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you may not see a difference right away if you have good lighting. But if you shoot at night or in dimly lit situations, you will see that this ultra-wide camera produces photos and videos that are noticeably sharper with less noise than the other phones because it has a much larger sensor. It also means that now if you want to vlog, film yourself, run and gun with the ultra-wide camera, you can do that. So I can just handhold the phone right now and just talk with the ultra-wide camera. And I'm getting a wide enough framing because if I shoot the main camera, it will be a little bit too tight to my face. Ultra-wide, it's a better framing, but then this is basically a flagship large sensor, so that means I'm not losing any quality. So you're watching ultra-wide camera footage right now with the Vivo X200 Ultra, just handheld right now. Now the main camera in the X200 Ultra is still a little bit better than the ultra-wide camera because the main camera has a f1.7 aperture compared to the f2.1 in the ultra-wide. So it's still a little bit better, but the quality is a lot closer than any other flagship phone right now. And the f2.1 for an ultra-wide camera is very fast. So the second thing that Vivo does differently from most other phones is that the main camera actually defaults to shoot at a 35mm focal length now. This is quite a bit tighter than what most other smartphones do, which shoot at 24 or 23mm. Like this is the iPhone's main camera at 24mm, I think. So you can see the iPhone's camera has a wider field of view. But the thing is, this 24, 23-ish millimeter, it's kind of considered an awkward focal length for serious photographers because it's neither here nor there. It's too wide for portraits. It's going to result in distortion because it's a little bit too wide, but at the same time, it's not wide enough for landscape photography. The thing is, companies like Apple and Oppo and Xiaomi, they all know this because when you jump into the main camera, there's a setting inside the camera app to let you default the main camera to shoot at 1.5x zoom. And that's what I did with my iPhone. Every time I open the iPhone camera app, it defaults to 1.5x zoom of the main camera because 1.5x of 24mm, it's about 35mm. So even Apple and Oppo and Xiaomi, they all know that 35mm, it's a more like proper focal length. So they give you the option to do a digital crop into that. And what Vivo's doing is just basically catering to enthusiasts because it's making 35mm the default focal length. No digital zoom required. 35mm is just a lot more natural and kind of resembles what we see with the human eye. Now, what if you are one of the people who really like the 23mm focal length of like every other smartphone because it's like wide enough that you can grab like more friends in one shot? Well, you can still do that with the Vivo. Just use the ultra-wide lens because remember, this ultra-wide camera, it's almost as good as the main camera. So the ultra-wide shoots at 14mm, but you can just dial in to like 23mm, and now you have yourself a focal length that is the same as the iPhone's focal length. And the thing is, because the ultra-wide sensor here is so large and it's flagship quality, that means even though you're shooting with the ultra-wide camera dialed in, you're not really losing that much in quality. In fact, if I take a main camera shot with the iPhone, and now I take a 23mm shot with the ultra-wide camera of the Vivo, like the quality is going to be almost like exactly the same. You're not going to be able to say, oh, the iPhone's main camera is better than Vivo's ultra-wide camera. The third thing that Vivo is doing that's different from most other phones is that Vivo has built an add-on telephoto lens accessory for the Vivo X200 Ultra. And of course, we already know this zoom lens here, it's already the best zoom lens hardware on the market, and Vivo has made an accessory, a premium one, co-developed with Zeiss, an add-on lens that you screw on to the top of the Periscope zoom lens that will essentially give this phone's 85mm zoom lens 2.35x magnification, which turns it into a 200 megapixel optical zoom. This lens is very well built. It features 13 lens elements inside. It's made of aluminum. It's not plasticky. And also the end that screws onto the camera mount, it's made of metal and snaps into place just like a real camera lens. Now the whole kit, I believe the name is called the Vivo Telephoto Adapter. It comes with a case made by PGY Tech. It has this two-tone vegan leather finish along with a kickstand at the bottom. The bottom end also allows you to snap on a camera grip, also developed by PGY Tech. This camera grip contains an extra battery that can charge the phone a little bit more. Once you snap it on, you already have yourself a very nice looking camera setup, but then you also have to put on the mounting bracket over the camera module. This is where it allows you to snap on this 200mm lens. Now with this lens add-on, you're getting 200mm optical zoom, but you can also get digital zoom up to 400mm or 800mm and beyond. I find that at 200 or 400mm, you can still get some really amazing telephoto photos. Now granted, this lens focusing, it's a little bit slow and the focusing can be a little bit hit and miss because ultimately you're snapping like 13 extra lens onto this Periscope zoom lens. So I find that if there's a lot of people moving, or if I'm moving the camera a little bit too much, the lens does lose focus. And for video recording, you can do that too. Video is a little bit, stabilization is not that great, and focusing, it's a little bit janky. But if you're taking photos of something that's kind of staying still, you can get some really damn good professional level 200mm or 400mm shot. I mean, check out this shot of this guy right here at the laundromat. This is a low light photo, 400mm. That's like 17 times zoom on a conventional phone. But I can get that with the Vivo X200 Ultra with the lens add-on, and look at the quality, it's good. Likewise right here with this cat, 400mm or 800mm, details are perfectly sharp and you get really natural bokeh too. And likewise, this portrait of my friend right here, look at how far he is standing from me, but I'm able to get a shot where his face isn't detailed and you get very nice natural bokeh, not artificial blur. So this lens definitely takes the telephoto camera here to another level. And it's not even that expensive. The whole kit with the lens and the snap-on case and the camera grip, it sells for around $180 US. Like, that's a low enough price that I'm pretty sure it will sell very well in China. And I think everyone else that's wanted to import the phone wants to buy one too. But ultimately, that lens is an add-on accessory that's a separate purchase. So for the bulk of my camera testing, I will be testing the Vivo X200 Ultra without the lens. So back to the zoom lens, it's still the star of the show. It's the 200 megapixel HP9 sensor that made its debut with the Vivo X100 Ultra 1 year ago. This is still 1 year later the best zoom lens hardware in all the smartphones right now, because the sensor size of 1/1.4 inch, it's absolutely gigantic. It's like 2 to 3 times the size of the zoom lens seen in like the iPhone or the Google Pixel, or even like the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, so a 6.6 zoom lens. Now Vivo has improved the zoom lens even more by giving the HP9 sensor a faster aperture of f2.3. Last year's X100 Ultra and X200 Pro, the aperture was f2.6 or 2.7, I forgot, but f2.3, a faster lens. It means it takes in a little bit more light with a little bit less shutter lag. This is even faster than the Periscope zoom lens in the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, which has a f2.6 aperture. Now, I will do a dedicated standalone camera test comparing this phone against the Xiaomi 15 Ultra and the Oppo Find X8 Ultra side by side. It's very soon, like later after this video. In this video, I want it to be a first look at the Vivo X200 Ultra that focuses mostly on this phone, but I did take some side-by-side samples that I will show here. But just if you're yearning for more direct comparison, that video is coming, okay? But so far from my early testing, I do think this zoom lens, it's better than the zoom lens in the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, even though they have the same hardware. The fast aperture here and Vivo's, in my opinion, superior, more mature processing does come into play. Colors are a little bit more natural, in my opinion, and particularly in low light situations, this phone focuses a little bit faster, a little bit more accurately than the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. Using the same can be said when I compare this lens against the Oppo Find X8 Ultra. But it's not just about hardware though. The fourth thing Vivo does that I think sets it apart from all the other phones is superior color profiles and color tuning. Now, if you follow my work, you will know that I've been in love with Vivo's color science for the past 3 or 4 years now, particularly their filters or color profiles or film simulations, whatever you want to call it. Every phone has now. It's basically a color profile that you can apply to a camera to give a smartphone camera more of an analog, a more organic vibe. Like shadows a little bit deeper. Photos just look a little bit different compared to the kind of very generic HDR looking shots captured by a smartphone, say circa 2019. I actually give the credit to Xiaomi for starting this trend with the Xiaomi 12S Ultra, but Vivo has been the best at doing it in my opinion. But like I said, every phone can do that now. But the thing is, with every other phone, you can make these adjustments to the color profiles after you snap the photos. With the Vivo X200 Ultra and Vivo flagship phones before, you cannot do that. You have to pick that mode first before you can shoot. The big reason for that is because Vivo's applying the different color tuning before the shot, meaning Vivo's actually trying to apply the different processing for that color profile before you take the photo so it can capture the photo as it is in that color profile. Whereas with other phones, it's essentially just a filter because you can take the photo using any of the color profiles and then later you can jump into edit and cycle through all the different profiles. You can change it after the fact. That means what those phones are doing, whether it's the iPhone or the Samsung S25 Ultra or the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, what they're doing is just applying a filter to a finished photo, like what Instagram does. And this year, there's a new filter called, let me see if I can find it. It's called Classic Film Negative. And it basically resembles the look of shooting on film. So striking contrast, and also depending on how the light hits it, the color tuning and the color science will also differ a little bit. I think it looks great. Look at these photos I snapped yesterday. They definitely give images more of a mood, a vibe, and it feels very organic. These photos look like they were snapped with like a physical Fujifilm camera or something. And shout out to my guy Keishoff, the camera engineer at Vivo, who I think built this color profile. He also built that vintage ass filter that I like so much. For video performance, I already thought the X200 Pro was one of the best video camera phones around, and I think the X200 Ultra is going to take it to another level because stabilization has been improved across all three lenses. You can shoot at 4K 120 for all three lenses, and when you shoot in log profile, which is like shooting videos that are completely raw, unedited for you to do color tuning later, you can shoot at high bit rate, 120 megabits per second. So it's very high quality log footage. And I tested a video comparison with this guy and the iPhone 16 Pro Max yesterday in low light conditions, and I think the Vivo X200 Ultra keeps up, if not outright wins. Alright man, you're watching ultra-wide camera footage with the Vivo X200 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. This is the rig that I have right here. And then extend it. How do I look right now? So ultra-wide camera right now. Ultra-wide camera footage right now, and this is a really kind of dim lit situation. So do you see a difference in video quality yet? And now you're watching main camera footage with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but on the Vivo, it is still on the ultra-wide lens, but I have closed in to 23mm to match the iPhone's focal length. So the same focal length right now, but on the iPhone, it is the main camera, whereas on the Vivo, it is still using the ultra-wide sensor. Now if I want to switch to the main camera of the Vivo, it'll be 35mm. So now this is the iPhone's 23mm against Vivo's 35mm. Oh, so you're watching 120mm zoom right now with the Vivo X200 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So both of these are 120mm right now. I'm just gonna take a couple of steps. There's a turtle down there. I haven't really talked about the selfie yet, but you have a 32 megapixel selfie camera here that I think gets the job done. I mean, I'm generally really not a selfie person. I think for the most part, you know, the selfie camera is what it is. Like, it's fine. Are you watching front-facing camera footage, 4K 30 right now? The audio is obviously coming just from the phone. How do I sound right now? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look at the rest of the phone's hardware now. So, you know, everything was pretty standard. You have a 6.8-inch OLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate. The screen is mostly flat, but curves a little bit at the edges. So it's a little bit different from Oppo's take. Oppo's take basically gave the phone a completely flat panel. This feels just like an iPhone. Not the Vivo. The corners smooths a little bit into the chassis. I like this feel better than the completely flat panel. The screen gets over 3000 nits of brightness. I mean, it's absolutely a top-notch panel, but you can say that with every phone these days. You have stereo speakers, obviously, that gets quite loud. Yeah, but the screen looks great. What more can I say? Now, as for the processor inside, it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite. Again, what more do you need to say? Snapdragon 8 Elite with 16 gigs of RAM, top-notch performance. The battery in here is a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, so it's on the larger side, and it can give this phone, I've only used this phone for 1.5 days so far, so not a full review, but so far, yesterday I was out all day shooting, but the battery was able to last me all day, 6,000 milliamp hour battery. It also supports wireless charging at 40 watt and wired charging, the charger included with the box, at 90 watt. Now in terms of software, this phone runs Origin OS 5 based on Android 15. This is the China model because this phone's only sold in China, so by default it does not come with Google apps, and it comes with a lot of bloatware, like those Chinese apps. But the good news is you can uninstall almost all the Chinese apps. So I was able to clean up everything. Now the app tray looks just like a normal international phone, and you can install Google apps really easily. You just have to jump into settings. If you type Google, you actually has a option settings, Google Basic Services, to turn on GMS, and after that you just have to install the Google Play Store, which is actually in the Vivo App Store. So from the Vivo App Store you can install Google Play, and then you can just install all your apps. I would say it takes about 20 minutes to clean the phone up and make it look like an international version of the phone. Origin OS, like I've said before, I actually quite like it. I prefer it over FunTouch OS. It's a very lively UI. It does do something slightly different, like for widgets, instead of calling it widgets, they call it Origin kits. So these are Vivo's first-party widgets, but I like them. They're quite kind of interactive. So you have a recorder widget here. If you tap the recorder button, you can record audio directly on the home screen, and you can stop the recording and it's saved. So you can record audio without needing to open the recorder app. Vivo has these widgets for all of its first-party apps. So you have it for like Vivo Notes, the clock, calendar. So you can like scroll through your calendar without opening the calendar app by just scrolling through the widget. So it's quite nice. I am a fan of Origin OS, and I prefer it over FunTouch OS, and I prefer it over Xiaomi's HyperOS too. However, my favorite OS in terms of overall performance is still Oppo's Color OS. This is still, in my opinion, the most fully featured, clean-looking UI on the market right now. So Color OS is still number one, but Origin OS maybe number 2 or number 3 for me. Maybe tied with Samsung's One UI. I think One UI is really good too. So that's about it for this first look at the Vivo X200 Ultra with that awesome camera lens. I think if you're a mobile photographer enthusiast, this phone has a lot of appeal, man. 4K 120 video recording with all 3 lenses. The best in class periscope zoom lens built into the phone, with the option to get a very nice and fun 200mm add-on lens for just $180. That can really change the game for what it means to take telephoto photography. You also have the best in class ultra wide camera on the market. So if you're someone who like to take ultra wide photography or just like to film yourself using the ultra wide camera, this phone will do a better job than any other phone on the market right now. And then again, clean UI, a very comfortable in-hand feel too. This camera bump is quite large, especially compared to the Oppo Find X8 Ultra's camera bump, but it's not that bad. The phone is not that top heavy. It weighs only like 226 grams, so about on par with modern day flagship phone. And I actually like that the camera bump sticks out so much, I can prop my finger underneath it when I'm holding the phone. Very comfortable to hold, although I am someone who's used to using big phones. But yeah, this is just the first video on the Vivo X200 Ultra. I will be back with a side-by-side camera comparison comparing this guy against the Xiaomi 15 Ultra and the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, like a true vlog camera test that I'm gonna film somewhere in Thailand or Japan, so stay tuned. So that's about it for this video, man. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. It will help me a lot. Thanks for watching.